That again, the final approval would be subject to the city council and the school district, at which point, once they're selected, we would hope to have someone on site as soon as possible, sometime in May of 14 perhaps, no later than June of 14. Again, people have said the project, it's a flat piece of property, shouldn't be that big of an issue. Part of it is in the floodplain. It won't be workable in the early spring, so this might work out very well. But the idea then is to get construction well underway, get the major work done next summer, and to move ahead and hopefully have the project completed, at least the fields part, completed by October 1st so that we can get some growth and get some grass growing out there. So the idea, as I indicated, is extremely aggressive. Everybody knows it. We've already had the more realistic among us perhaps, or perhaps conservative and pessimistic, that we'll have to let some dates slide. We will do so as much as we need to, but this group is committed to move it ahead as quickly as possible. Had discussions with several of the council members and the committee last week who indicated that it's their impression that the public wants us to move forward very quickly, and hopefully if we give them the opportunity, they will agree and they will participate, and we will get this going as quickly as possible. So suffice it to say that one of the things that I wanted to make sure of, and again in this document and the one that will go to the school district, is that we believe a project manager is essential to this project. The school district indicated that they do not have the personnel or the expertise to manage this project, while the city may have the personnel and the expertise to do so. They're engaged in other projects. So in order that this project can move ahead unimpeded, retention of a project manager would likely be the way to go, and that's what will be presented tonight and to the school district on the 27th. So we've laid out processes for the design and construction, about selection of the architect, selection of the construction manager, how that will be paid for, who will be the contractor, or excuse me, the contracting entity, who will be the budgetary entity, the fiscal agent. It's all been laid out. It's the school district, as I indicated, would be the contracting entity as well as the fiscal agent. The process on processing of requests for payment, that is laid out as well. One of the questions is, well, suppose the city doesn't agree with one of the payments being made. Again, the ARC group will be reviewing these. As requests for payments come through, they will be processed by the school district, presented to the ARC group, who will then make any recommendations or ask the business manager, get the information, send those through. If the ARC deems that they meet the contractual obligations, there will be a bill submitted to the city for 1/2 of that cost, and to the school district for 1/2 of those particular costs. Administration and maintenance. The contract itself, design and construction, fairly straightforward. Hopefully it won't exceed what we're talking about here, 1.5 at the most. But then we slip into the maintenance mode. Who's going to maintain the fields? We have a great model for that on the softball field that already exists on the Joseph Street property. The council and the district have agreed in the MOU, at least an understanding, that the city is best positioned to provide that maintenance. That maintenance and the scope of the maintenance will be discussed and agreed between the school district and the city. The city will then provide the services for the maintenance, and 1/2 of the actual cost of the maintenance will be billed to the school district. The school district, at least through their representatives on the authorized representative committee, have indicated that that is how they would like to proceed, and that is the process that we in fact use right now on Joseph Street. Dwight's indicated, so that's worked very well. With that, from Article 5 on, it's pretty much surplusage, or boilerplate, I guess is the legal term. Insurances, indemnities, that sort of thing, contact information, so on and so forth. But again, the meat and potatoes is Section 4, and I certainly stand for any questions, and I would like to publicly thank everyone who's been involved in this so far. We put this together in a relatively short period of time. Dale Kleinert did a great job of transitioning into this, has done good service in getting Greg ready to go on it. I think we're prepared to move ahead as quickly as the council wants to.
Thank you, Gary. Early in your remarks, you referenced, was it Exhibits A and B, and you said they weren't ready yet. I presume Exhibit A was mostly the legal description of the property,
Yes.
is that right? And Exhibit B was what?
Exhibit A, and we talked about this at the ARC, it was going to be a legal description. We assumed the school district would do that or had it. The group thought that what we really needed was some sort of a diagram. And likewise, Exhibit B will just be an outline of the general area for the footprint of the district facility. The area that under the agreement can be used for a recreational field, but it will be signed and designated for use at any time within the 30-year period by the school district. So the two exhibits will look remarkably the same. One will be an overall view showing the property itself. The other one will be the area that is designated, or at least generally described as the footprint for the district facility.
Okay, and is there any prospect of controversy relative to the verbiage in this document, since the council is being asked to approve an agreement without the exhibits? Yes?
I can't anticipate there would be any
All right,
issues.
thank you. Council members have any questions for Gary? Tom?
I was wondering, within the map piece of it, the Joseph Street property, there's the edge of the road, then there's the swale, which is necessary previously because of the lack of Joseph Street Bridge widening. I'm not sure if it's still needed from an engineering perspective. But then there's that big berm, and that has never been necessary. It was just where the soil was put, thinking that someday people could sit on that. That ground is available for playing, if it were graded differently. I think it's even true that the swale part is available, but it would be helpful, I think, if somebody checked the engineering of the bridge and the conveyance of water and so forth to make sure that that swale is no longer needed. If that's true, perhaps there's more ground that can be used for
And
ball
that's one,
fields.
if I
So
may.
I just want to make sure that that thinking is part of the design process.
Yeah, if I may.
Please.
One of the things that has been discussed, and Les pointed this out at the administrative committee, is that the design necessarily, even though the concept design group, their work will be done once the concept design is agreed to by the city council and the school district. The technical aspects and the technical resources of the city and the school district will continue. Les knows about the Joseph Street Bridge, the ability to carry water, the floodplain designation, and in fact, the berm and the swale. If that ground is available, it'll be discussed, and the design professional will be advised. So all of that is,
Great.
the school district hasn't indicated that they for sure want to keep that berm there. We'll determine whether it's necessary, and then those decisions can be made.
Good. I just want to make sure that we maximize whatever we do out there. All right, thanks.
Other questions for Gary? Tim?
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Gary, you mentioned Appendix B, which would include the footprint for the school. Is that the foundation footprint, or will the footprint also indicate the parking requirement?
If I may, it'll be a general area. It's not intended to be, okay, the line's right here. It is a very general area. One of the things that was discussed at the ARC group is there was some language in here about parking. How would the parking for a school district facility play against the parking for the recreational area? So the discussion was, can we just leave that open to the requirements that a school district facility is required under our code? And then would it be during school hours, so on and so forth? So those, we still have a use agreement that needs to be negotiated as well. The nuts and bolts of how the two parties are going to interact. So seemed fairly straightforward, but you know, part of the thing with moving this ahead as quickly as we are is not trying to get lost in the weeds on the details, but to set out the basic agreement as to how we will interact. The maintenance agreement is something else, Tim, that is going to have to, the school district folks are going to have to sit down with Dwight's people, and they're going to have to negotiate on how they want that done. So that's why in this agreement throughout, you will see, as contemplated by this agreement and any further agreements necessary to implement the directives of this agreement.
Okay, thank you.
I saw a hand down here for Gary. No? Rod, do you have any comments about this? I know Gary's been working on this committee, but in terms of the agreement proper, from your perspective as city attorney?
It's been, had a lot of input in, a lot of people put in on it. It looks like a good agreement.
Okay. And Dwight, anything from your end? Okay. Superintendent Bailey, are you willing to speak to this from the perspective of the school district, please? Oh, great.
Extra breakfast.
And I share Gary's appreciation for your stamina and good humor at this hour. Good.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
He gets
Always
extra
will have
breakfast
the
if he's
humor.
be here until.
Just basically, I came on late on this process, and I'll tell you, I'm really excited about this. This is just common sense to be able to do something with the city, with the school district. And sitting in the meetings, in the ARC meetings, there's a good connection between the city with Walter and Rod and Gary and with our staff to discuss things, and I felt they were very thorough in their discussions. So it's exciting to look at this and to see how we can share resources for the whole community. So I'm very pleased with it. I think we can really do a good job here.
Thank you. Council, any questions for the superintendent? Great. Thanks. How would you like to proceed, council members? Dan?
I would like to make a motion that we approve the attached draft agreement for joint development, use, maintenance, and administrative of the Moscow School District property at Joseph Street, and submit said agreement to the School District Board of Trustees for their consideration and approval.
Second.
Okay, we have Dan's motion, we have Wayne's second. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll start the roll call vote with you, Dan.
Aye,
Aye.
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 And the motion carries. Thank
and
you.
I can't wait till it's done.
Thank
Yeah, I
you,
just-
everybody, for your hard work on this.
When aggressive speed means 2015.
Well,
God,
grass has to
glacial.
grow.
What? Oh, man.